because I've been doing some thinking about, what kind of stuff I can possibly do for the future in videos. Now, one thing that was suggested to me by a friend was that I go to the DPRK. Somehow I collect the money. I take out a loan or, whatever. I go to the DPRK, I record a bunch of videos there, I come back, I upload them and whatnot. And he suggested as a means for paying for it would be to go and purchase the collected works of Kim Il-sung. And then when I bring them back, do a raffle. You pay $5 or whatever to get your name in one time, and you can put your name in as much as you want. And then when the raffle's up, I just take out a random name, and that person wins the collected works of Kim Il-sung, actually printed in North Korea. Which I think would be a really, I think some people would really like that, and that could possibly raise, quite a bit of money if I left it open to absolutely everybody. But that's still something I'm thinking about. How would I, really pay for a trip like that? Because it's really expensive, particularly someone on a limited income. So that's something that I'm looking at for possibly in the future. Maybe something will come along and I don't know, who knows. Another thing I was thinking about is the other channel, which is pretty much mostly games. I really don't know what to do with that channel because, it got to a point where I was doing Let's Plays and it felt like work. Like I was trying to hurry up and get something done. Like I wasn't really enjoying it. It was kind of a distraction. Like it felt like I was just trying to keep up with something that I wasn't really that passionate about. I think there's something about it. It just is not quite right. I mean, this is supposed to be something that's supplementary, something that's just fun to do on the side. But something's missing from it, some kind of element. And I think maybe it's that I'm not a Let's Player. That's not who I am, that's not what I do, that's not where my skills are. So I have to think of something that I may want to do with that channel other than video games. I mean, I'll, do a video game, once in a while, but I don't want it to be anything too serious because, frankly, the channel doesn't do very well at all. I mean, at most, like 150 views a video, which is like nothing. It's completely insignificant. Particularly when you put it in comparison to the channel that you're watching now. But I did manage to find an ebook of old Soviet recipes. So, given that, a few people have said that they wanted to see the old cooking show back that I had long time ago, 2011, a little bit into 2012, but mostly 2011. I thought about, why not do a couple recipes from that book? Maybe do 7 of them and do like a whole Soviet cooking week and place it on the other channel. That might be interesting for some people to see. They could really enjoy that thing. I'm not really sure because I'm not a good cook and some of these recipes might be a bit complicated. But I mean, who knows? I would tend to think that they would be kind of simple because, they didn't have an extravagant society with a lot of fluff and flair. So it was probably some basic, down-to-earth, regular stuff. So it might not be that hard to do, but I don't know. Because I'm not very good at cooking, period. So, you never really know. So I'm still investigating, ideas that I could have for future videos on that channel. Even future videos for this channel. I know right now I'm working on Metro 2033. I finished the first book and I have finished both games, 2033 and Last Light. I'm debating whether or not I want to read 2034 and if I should get 2035. That 2035 is not out yet, but I've heard that it's coming out soon. I do have 2034, but I haven't read it yet. So I'm deciding whether or not I want to add that in. Now, the writing for the Metro book has gone. I shouldn't say a book because I don't think it's going to get to that size. It's already at only 15 pages right now, and I don't foresee it going past 30. It's not. It's hard to describe. It's not as immersive, not immersive. It's not as expansive as Fallout is, because Fallout has so much lore. It has so much that I can possibly go into, because the whole thing is essentially political. I was able to get enough for Stalker for it to qualify as a book, but I don't know if I really see that much there for Metro. I mean, I know Dmitry Glukovsky, the guy who wrote the book, had intended it as a criticism. It's something that he put together as, since he investigates political and social ideas in a lot of his works. So, I mean, he very clearly is trying to say something. Most specifically that sticks out of my mind is how he conflates peaceful coexistence with socialism in one country, which came out in the book as Socialism in One Line, and how he confused two completely different things as a way to criticize, quote-unquote, Stalinism and support the Trotskyist line. Although his criticism actually doesn't make any sense because he's confusing two different lines. So there's a place for me to go into that, socialism in one country and peaceful coexistence. And, that section of the book, it came out to about 10 pages. So that one is fairly interesting. But I wanted to look more at the economy of the Metro, but it's really hard considering that there's not really much information there. I mean, there's mercantilism, very little agriculture. You have the Nazis competing and whatnot, but there isn't really much known about how their economies actually function. So the book basically just says, the red line is basically on the verge of starvation all the time, herder, bread lines, etc. The same old garbage, which is what I would expect from Dmitry Glukovsky, given his, previous thing there about socialism in one country and whatnot. Although, interestingly, his alma mater is the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, so you can kind of understand where a lot of that bourgeois slant, his historical slant would come from. I mean, as they say, history is written by the winners. But I don't think that Metro's actually going to come out to an entire book. I think it'll probably come out to a small ebook, and then I'll just make it into a video instead. I mean, as for a book, I really don't like to do less than 150 pages for a book. I would really would prefer a minimum of 250, but it's hard to expand upon something that doesn't have that much there. For me to try to turn it into a book, I could be going off into stuff that, really has nothing to do with the story. But a lot of it, it is a literary work, and that makes it a little bit more complicated for me to be able to go into it, because I'm not a literary reviewer. Some of it is highly philosophical, and that's not really much of how I work. For me, it's political and economic, not philosophical. So, I mean, I can talk about how everybody is going on about the underworld, and everybody is talking about what happens after death, etc. I mean, this is a reoccurring theme throughout the novel, and how it's funny how everybody lives underground. Life is underground, death is above ground. How it's the inverse from the underworld and Earth. I mean, that's one theme that kind of does go through the book. Glukovsky himself tends to, I wouldn't say contradict himself in the book. I think he presents two sides of an issue in it. He goes around talking about how the different social phenomena, the Nazis, the communists, and It goes on. A lot of people go on about how there's no such thing as a spirit world. There's no such thing as supernatural phenomenon. There's no such thing as an afterlife. And yet, in the course of the book, things that would confirm the existence of such things continually happen to the main character Artyom. So it seems more like, in that case, he's merely discussing it as opposed to taking one side or the other, which you would definitely get from the socialism in one line that I just previously spoke about. But as it is, it's hard for me to really come up with much to write about. I mean, I would like to write a whole book about Metro, but I don't think it's going to happen. If I do, it would have to be a minimum of 150 pages, because I just don't imagine that anything less than that would really be worthwhile. And I don't think it's possible to really write anymore. I don't think it's possible to write the 150, but you never know. I'll have to wait and see. And there are some other projects that are coming up in the future, some things that I've wanted to write, but I haven't had the chance yet. I'm dead stuck on the second Stalker novel. The first one I wrote, it was okay for a first try. The second one, I'm just dead stuck. Just some serious writer's block. Don't even know how to continue with it. So that one's, I don't know, that may even become an abandoned project. I was considering a lot about the next, a regular kind of book. I was thinking about expanding upon the Marxist response to Austrian economics, but I've been mulling it over in my head as to whether or not it's really worth it. And Austrian economics has no credibility to begin with. It's complete utopian nonsense. So I'm thinking, is it really worthwhile? I mean, there is no question of Austrianism versus Marxism. Austrian it's nothing. It's almost infantile in its simplicity. I think we have to move beyond that. We have to now start talking about first worldism versus third worldism. I don't think anybody in the Marxist community thinks that there really is a struggle between bourgeois or Marxist thought. It's Marxist thought. We know that. But I think the real question that we need to ask is where we're going to go after that. We can't just stick to the stale orthodoxy of, like an orthodox Marxism, which I don't even understand how someone could even really hold that position in this day, given the contributions and the experiences of both Lenin, Mao, and Stalin. I mean, I think it's just absolutely nonsense to still be an orthodox Marxist, or even a Trotskyist for that matter. So I think it's important to start looking at newer ideas, not going back and rehashing the same thing over and over again. I was thinking of possibly doing a book on Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, like take some basic concepts, explain them in depth and how they differed from their predecessors, and the necessity of doing so. So that way it'd be easier to understand the transition from each of the ideological contributions. But that one's still I'm still kind of thinking about it. I'm not sure exactly where I want to go with that. In terms of actual Marxist economics itself, I think I've written everything that really needs to be written, which is not needs to be written that I'm capable of writing, let's just say. Because right now, everything in terms of Marxist economics is all crisis, crisis, crisis. Like, everything's crisis. From every Marxist economist, everything is crisis. Because that seems to be, a really great focal point of everything, is to understand how capitalism continually goes into crisis and continually a problem. But, I mean, we know that. Capitalism does keep going into crisis. I mean, is really much more explanation really necessary for that? Is there really much more that we have to investigate once we've got it down? But that's the trend right now. And it's been the trend for quite a while to just talk about crisis. It doesn't seem that anybody writes about going forward after that. So I was thinking about, maybe possibly writing on something like that. But I really don't know. I don't really know where to go from here or what exactly to do. I mean, every day is a news video, so that's a given. The news always happens. It never stops happening. So there's always something for me to do there. But as for side projects beyond just the regular main news videos, I'm not really sure where to go from there. I mean, if anybody has any ideas, leave them in the comment section. I would consider them. But that's pretty much all I've got for an update for now. Because, like I said, I still don't know exactly what it is that I'm going to do. I've got different ideas that aren't very good, some ideas that are okay, but I don't have any really solid good ideas on what to do for future projects. So if you do have any ideas, please shoot them down in the description, and I'll take a look at them. And thank you for continuing to watch, and I want to thank those who recently made contributions to my Patreon account. That's actually really helping out because I've got a bit of a credit card debt from the new equipment that I've purchased, particularly my computer, the microphone, and whatnot. Some of that technology is a lot higher than what I had before. And I'd like to thank anyone who's been giving it all along, because it's been really helpful in for me getting this message out and getting it out in a much better and a much higher quality. And I'm sure everybody notices that in the last 6 months, the quality of these videos, the production value has skyrocketed astronomically. It's become a lot better. And there's a question of, can I go even further than this now? Are you really mowing your fucking lawn right now? Jesus Christ. Sorry, that fucking guy is like cutting his lawn like every day. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for those who have given me all the support that they have over the years, or however long it's been. And if you have any ideas or things that you want to see on this channel, then leave them in the comment section below. Thank you. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.